Hello, everybody, and welcome to this professional development webinar brought to you by the Fashion Network. And today we are in partnership with Trendstop.com. The session today, we're going to be looking at 2025 Commercial Colour Trend Insights. But I've got a few things just to let you know about before I hand over to our speaker today, which is Jaana. Basically, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the chat box. There should be a chat box feature on your toolbar. It's on the bottom of my screen. It might be at the top of yours, I'm not sure. So if you've got any questions or comments, please leave them in the chat box. We do like to keep all of our TFN sessions as interactive as possible. And I was just speaking to Jaana before we went live. She likes to have a bit of interaction too. So please do get involved. If you do leave comments and questions in the chat box, try and get your settings so that everybody in the audience can see. And the only reason we like that is because it just makes it a much more enhanced learning experience for everybody involved, including us here on your screens. This session is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel at a later date. So if you want to share or listen again or share with colleagues, my colleague at the Fashion Network will send everybody an email around afterwards with a link to the YouTube recording. If you happen to be listening to this at a later date, if you're not here in the live session, then please do click like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be great. Just one other thing I'd like to ask though, everybody who's listening at the moment, please, if you could just let us know now in the chat box where you're from in the world and what it is you do. So let us know where you're from in the world and let us know what your job role is. That would be great. I'm just going to make sure that if you could just make sure that the chat box is enabled. So yeah, so all of you out there, if you're listening in, please let us know where you're from in the world and what job role you're doing. And if you can, let us know what company you're working for. That'd be interesting for us to know, and it'd be interesting for Jaana to basically know who she's talking to. So yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great. Shortly now, I'm going to be handing over the screen to Jaana. And Jaana is a futurist and founder of the consumer and design innovation agency Trendstop. Trendstop specializes in consumer, market and product research and trend forecasting. Now, Jaana has a design background and despite her youthful looks, has been in the industry for over 25 years. And she's a Central St. Martin's graduate and is currently based in London. So that's today's presenter, and she will be shortly sharing the screen. I'm just going to have a quick nosy to see who's in here. So we've got a few people already. It's Cara, who's coming in from London. We've got Emily, who's a design consultant. Elizabeth from Brazil, welcome. Fashion style consultant. Who else have we got? Lena, who's from the UK, Liverpool, design maker, artist. We've got knitwear designer, Angela. Kevin, I know Kevin from Ellis Rugby. So we've got quite a diverse range of practitioners in here today, Jaana. So without further ado, I'm going to leave you to it, and I'll bob back on in about 35, 40 minutes after you finish your presentation. So I'll leave you to it. Speak to you soon.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session. It's really nice to see you all, and yeah, really nice that you are all from different countries and different backgrounds. So for those of you who are not familiar with Trendstop, just a quick 60-second introduction. So we are, in a way, the kind of ultimate trend and consumer support service and agency. So we very quickly help brands identify who their target consumer is and what the consumer wants to see, hear, buy, and experience in advance. And we then help very quickly and immediately brands to deliver the right colors, collections, and campaigns and experience to their target audience. So we help brands transform collections and their brand positioning very quickly. And we have both a trend platform and a consultancy service. And I saw there were a few of you are from France. So for instance, Salomon, the outdoor sports brand, is currently one of the unexpectedly coolest brands in France at the moment, because we help them elevate their colors and create this sort of premium appearance with their colors, so that they are now selling their premium styles in the luxury retailers at about 3 times the regular product prices, and all of those colors sold out instantly. So we really help elevate collections and brands quickly. Or another customer, Sig Bottles, told us that they had the most successful launch ever because we helped them modernize their colors, graphics, and update the brand image. And their brand was founded in 1908, so that's something. And if you are interested to learn more about us, you can book a discovery session to meet with us from the top of our website front page on Trendstop.com. So without further ado, then we can move into today's presentation. So some of the topics we spoke about covering are changing consumer color preferences and how color is evolving, what consumers are looking to buy and what will excite them, to touch on a little bit on the Pantone Colour of the Year and its impact on 2024 and beyond, and then speaking about shades with multi-season appeal and how color timing is changing, and then even sustainability considerations. But what I would love to do most of all is to have more of a conversation with you guys and hear about your color questions and challenges, because color approaches are changing and consumers' expectations about color are changing. So it would be really interesting and interactive to have you post your questions in the chat, and then I'll answer them throughout the session as well as they do the conversation. And hi to everyone who's just joining us. I'm Jaana, the founder of Trendstop. So whilst I start talking to you a little bit, go ahead and think about what are some of your challenges regarding identifying colors or applying colors at the moment, or what is maybe your biggest challenge when it comes to color, or what do you find most challenging about targeting the right colors to your consumer. So think about your questions or any other questions that you listen along, and then just post them in the chat, and then it would be great to have a conversation to come back to your questions. So let's then get into our screen share as well here. So like I mentioned, there's a lot of changes coming into color. So the fast fashion era, which has been going on for the past 20 years, it's been very sort of skin deep. Let me actually, I'm just gonna go back to for a second. So the fast fashion era has been kind of all about sort of just almost like throwing stuff against the wall and hoping that something will stick, and that's sort of coming to an end. It's been this kind of 20-year cycle, and we always see these 20-year cycles in the industry. And now the consumers are moving into much kind of more considered consumerism. They want to spend more carefully, either because of financial or sustainability reasons, or both. They want to support more meaningful fashion and meaningful brands, and just be a bit more conscious and buy from brands that have more conscious approaches. So for all these reasons, the consumer behavior is changing in general and changing towards color as well. And at the same time, there is this still the sort of previous approach within companies that when they plan colors, they still plan them in the way that they have been planned during the fast fashion era. And there's this sort of mismatch that colors don't resonate as well with these new consumer mindsets as they should or could. And this is a topic straight away that I'd like to hear your questions and comments on as well. So please post in the chat what are your thoughts on this, and have you noticed anything that you've you would like to change something about your color approach, or you've thought about doing something differently maybe, or just that you've noticed that the colors are not working as well as they might have before the pandemic, for example. Hi, still nice to see everyone joining. So, there's also, because of this new meaningful consumer era, there will be sort of more targeted approach to color and in general collection planning, which means that the approach needs to be more targeted specifically to the different consumer types. So, for example, we have late adopters and early adopters, and they want different kinds of colors. So that's another topic we can touch on as well. So I was thinking that I'm gonna use the Pantone Colour of the Year 2024 as the starting point, because it is a color forecast and it's very universally known, and we can speak about some of these topics related to it, and then look at these things like the longevity of color, consumers wanting to experience color differently, and so on. So now I'm just gonna go to the screen share here. So of course, it's important that colors are relevant and they excite consumers. And because if the colors are not relevant, then color is one of the biggest reasons that turns consumers off. So it said that 88% of consumers don't buy if the color is incorrect. And there are few statistics, but they are all similarly high numbers, that color is one of the first things, of course, that people see. And if the color isn't current or relevant, then the consumer doesn't even look at the rest of the products. They just scroll by or pass by the rack to the next item or to the next retailer. And launching colors that are not correct or as targeted as they could be causes not only disengagement from consumers, but it also has the very unfortunate effects of products having to be discounted and then resulting in unsold stock and wasted productions that didn't perform well. So these are some of the things that better color targeting, as we are going to speak about here, will help avoid. And it also helps the brand positioning to be better if the colors are exciting and engaging, because the brand appears cooler and more current. And then, of course, as we all know, timing is a big aspect of color. When the color is launched, it is highly impactful and results in sales performance. So this is another topic that I'd love to hear your questions. If you have any questions around color timing, and we'll speak about that more shortly. And then we have the sort of overall topic that it is really important to engage your customers to grow the sales, and color is sort of one of the important factors when it comes to product. So let's then take a look at some visual examples. So Pantone launched the Colour of the Year 2024 Peach Fuzz recently. And they and of course this is like I said, it's kind of like a big global forecast, so everyone knows and is familiar about this. So just as a quick recap, some of the things that were mentioned about Peach Fuzz is that it's a warm and cozy shade that captures our desire to nurture ourselves and others for togetherness and the feeling this creates. Peach Fuzz presents a fresh approach to a new softness. It's subtly sensual, and this heartfelt beach hue brings a feeling of tenderness and communicates a message of caring and sharing, community and collaboration. And it's highly suggestive of good taste. It's a gift to the senses, creating a symbiotic relationship between our sense of taste, sight, touch and scent. And it's a velvety, gentle peach tone whose all-embracing spirit enriches the mind, body, heart and soul. So you can put in the chat your thoughts on what do you think about Peach Fuzz. It would be nice to see some audience comments there as well. And we are also gonna go to some comments from audience people. Everyone loves to comment on the Pantone Colour. So that's lovely, love peach fuzz. Sorry, I have to get back to my my chats here just to see what you guys are saying. Lovely. So thank you very much. That's really nice comment, soothing and energetic. The color is very luxury, and do we know what the color of for 2025 will be also? So lovely. So no, great. These are great comments. Thanks everyone. Let's then speak further, because we'll come back to this talking about the color of 2025 as well. So the short answer is that no, we don't know the Pantone color, but of course we here at Trendstop know everything there is to know about color. So we'll speak about the future a bit as well, and that's okay. No, don't worry. No need to apologize if you are late. It's good to have everyone joining. So we were just asking everyone what you think of the Pantone Peach Fuzz color. And the executive director of Pantone Colour Institute, Jaytri Eisman, also said that it's a shade that resonates with compassion, offers a tactile embrace, and effortlessly bridges the youthful with the timeless. But so these are all like nice things about peach fuzz. And the next, we prepared a little section to talk about some of the kind of other industry opinion as well, because like we spoke in the beginning, it's color needs to sort of become more meaningful and more deeply considered as we are leaving the sort of fast fashion mindset and that kind of throwaway fashion culture behind. And what this means is that it's important for professionals to have tools to be able to more deeply analyze what a particular shade or color means, or why it's being suggested. Because in the fast fashion era, color application has been a little bit sort of paint by numbers, that people see a color in a forecast or color report, they apply it, and that's it, and then you kind of hope for the best if it's going to sell or not, and then it's a surprise at the end what the result might be. So that kind of approach is not going to work for these new consumers who are much more mindful and considered, and also very aware of trends as well. So we have a couple of comments here from the editorial team at the New York Times. They commented some of their opinions, which are just to show some contrast, what are maybe not so fantastic about the peach fuzz. So Jeremy Allen comments that, to me, this color evokes more of a mid-century Palm Springs vibe than it does sanctuary or even sensuality, as the news release suggests, and explicitly and implicitly it feels steeped in the past. Vanessa Friedman says it's a non-committal shade, neither pink or orange. And then Kelly Holterman says, does this shade remind anyone else of a complexion, specifically a light one? That gave me pause for a moment. I think about how brands like Fenty Beauty have pushed the cosmetics industry to make shade ranges that include people of color, especially those with dark skin. So, and then Jessica Testo said that it's kind of like a vague, that 2024 should be a year not for bold decisions according to this color, but communicating a sort of vague pleasantness. So as a sort of color expert, my view on the peach fuzz is that yes, I agree with everyone that it is a really lovely color, but these sentiments about the comfort and desire to nurture ourselves, and this all of these kind of feelings, they were consumer sentiments during the pandemic. So in that sense, this peach color is it's being talked about a little bit late, because that sort of consumer mood has already passed us by. And I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about how the trends emerge and color trends emerge in the markets, and how these mindsets and the consumers' readiness to accept a particular color actually happens much earlier than for example, this example might make us think. So and there's a nice comment as well that it feels very Gen Z. So we talk about the age groups and the consumer types as well. And then somebody asked if there's going to be a recording. So yes, there will be a recording shared as well. Don't worry. Then to kind of go a bit deeper on this color using the peach as an example, and to talk more about this topic that colors need to be thought of in a much more deeper sense. We prepared a peach timeline presentation for you from the Trendstop platform. So this is how when the peaches first started emerging. So this is from the spring summer 20 catwalks, which were, or runways, which were presented in the fall of 2019. And at Trendstop, we are an agency that we track those emerging colors when they are brand new to the market. So and I'm gonna talk to you about that because the trends actually in reality start much earlier, and because you need to prepare collections in advance, so plan in advance, it's really useful to know about this much earlier than you might think, if you have to add a lead time and just to have enough planning time and to be able to capture a broader range of consumers. So so this was the springtime peach neutrals, which were these very nice soft peaches, which are very similar to peach fuzz. And then let's take a look at some of the peach evolution over time since then. So on the Trendstop platform, you can go to our colors and look at the evolution of colors, and peach has indeed been a trend for so long that we have a dedicated filter just to look at the peach colors. So let's take a quick tour. The playful peach was one of the early peaches. It was forecasted back in 2019 for the innovator market. Sorry, I have to find. I first identified in August 2019 for the spring 21 innovator market, but now it is tracking for the fall 25 late mainstream market. And I'm going to actually talk to you a little bit about these market types, because you might not be familiar. So let me just go back to my and find a quick slide for you on this. So how the consumer groups adopt trends is and this is the known trend curve from the 1950s and from Malcolm Gladwell's tipping points. But we've connected it specifically to trends and the results, the profitability, and what brands need to do to target the consumer groups correctly. So the trends begin from the innovators, and at Trendstop we identify the trends from the beginning. So and there really is a 1 year in between each consumer group. So that's why I said that this trend that we identified for spring summer 21 innovators, it was then a late mainstream trend for spring summer 25. So it really can take this 5 years for a trend to go through the cycle, and we'll learn more about that in this session, even if it might sound surprising from the outset. And please put your comments in the chat. What are your thoughts on this? And the reason why you may not know this is because the typical trend reporting that's out there in the market, it doesn't start talking about the trends until they are already here entering the mainstream. So this early profit zone is quite invisible to anyone who isn't working with the Trendstop directions, and that's why the trend timeline seems shorter. But when the trends are looked at too late, then it means that all of these consumer groups are missed out, and you can have a lot more profit opportunities to target trends to these consumers. And also when you start publishing your colors earlier, then you have a chance to not only to profit from all the complete consumer groups, but and also to have colors that you can keep selling for multiple seasons, because they will appeal to more and more consumers as the seasons go by. So I'm gonna now, without further ado, to show you the example so that you can see it in action. So Playful Peach was Spring Summer 21 Innovate forecast. So now the time has gone on, and it's Spring 25 Late Mainstream forecast. So it's basically like a hybrid between pink and orange. At that time, it was both classic pink and classic orange were kind of becoming a little bit unexciting, and the merging them into peach became this really exciting new thing to offer to in the market. And and then if we go to the next season, we have a Spring 25 Mainstream Peach Bloom, which is was first identified back in August 20 as a Spring 22 Innovate forecast, and now 3 years on, it's tracking for Spring 25 Mainstream. And then what is different about Peach Bloom to the previous version is that now the sustainability consciousness is coming through more. So you can see how this color has this kind of like a softer, more like a neutral approach, that it's almost like a peach blending with beige to make it sort of more softer and less intense, and kind of more neutral, sustainability, natural oriented color. And that's the peach story continues. So then we are into the next consumer group on that graph, which is early mainstream. So this is Peach Dawn is the forecast for Spring 25 early mainstream in the peach category, and here we see how so this was really where that sort of reflection aspect was coming through, and this was identified in May 21 for the Spring 23 Innovator market, and now it's going into early mainstream. But this is really the kind of sentiment that Pantone was talking about, that at the time of us analyzing and identifying this forecast, we were in the pandemic, and people were having this sort of reflective era, and it almost felt like it was going to be sort of like a dawn of a new era coming out of the pandemic. So hence the name even has the dawn, Peach Dawn, in the title, and they have this sort of you can see in these images, it's got this sort of light, like a sunrise or dawn of a new day or a new era coming through in the color. So from these examples, you start to see that we are all the time talking about peach, but they are different shades, slightly different shades of peach. So this is part of this sort of new consumer mindset, that the specificity is going to be really important as well. So it's not just that oh it's peach, and then but the specific shade, what kind of peach it is as well, needs to be considered also. Is this interesting for you so far, and is it making sense? You can put some comments on the chat. Lovely, nice, thank you. Perfect sense. All good. Great. Very interested. Nice. Very good. I'm glad you are enjoying this. It's part of my job and our job at Trendstop is to really help break down and explain the trends, because if people are just given trend reports without a kind of deeper explanation or understanding why something is a trend and why it's relevant for consumers, that can also cause mistakes in the targeting and optimization, and then it leads to products not selling as well as they could, and leads to discounting and unsold stock. So we don't want that for you. Okay, so then let's go further in this timeline. We have a couple more examples here. So next we have Summer Peach, which is then going into the fashion forward audience, so the kind of more fashion conscious audiences, the early adopters. And here this color is sorry, let me just find my this one was identified in May 22 for the Spring 24 innovator market, and now it's tracking for the fashion forward or the early adopters audience for Spring 25. And here again, the color is more neutral based and softer, and it takes into consideration this idea that consumers want longevity, that they want things that can last for multiple seasons and are easy to wear, comfortable to look at. And one of the things that makes things less easy to wear is very bright and sort of kind of like a ultra searing colors that can almost feel a little bit painful to your eyes to look at them. And those kinds of colors don't last long because there's only so long how a person can look at one color before they get tired of it. So these kinds of more softer colors are much nicer and easier to look at. And also here on Trendstop site, we have really nice these interactive mood boards that you can click the images and look at how the early brands had applied this color, and our customers really love it, how you can see the color come to life in the different materials and in different moods, even ideas for photo shoots and just kind of seeing different perspectives of the color from the early adopters of this trend. And then we also validate the colors on our platform. So we follow the colors for you. So this is showing the validation of Summer Peach in July last year, how it's coming through in the summer collections from the more aspirational brands, like we have Acne here, Jaytri and Sportsmax, which are all luxury or premium brands, and then we have Zara, who's of course very fashion forward and progressive, and they are testing this color as well. So we show you every step of the way as the colors come through in the market as well, so you can get more evidence and more proof of its happening. And then next, then let's then take a look at one more step, which is the last step in the consumer stages, the innovator market. So this is the Spring 25 innovator forecast, which is the Morango apricot, and here the peach has been going on for so long that here it's almost becoming like a neutral color, but a very kind of fresh and interesting neutral. So it's much kind of subtler and paler, and it's kind of like barely a fashion color. It's very close to neutral colors, but a very innovative and new. Yeah, there's and I'm gonna answer. You can start putting more questions in the chat. I'm gonna come back to answer your question from Ken. Anyone else? When you put questions in the chat, so feel free to ask anything that you have thought of so far in this presentation. So this is kind of shows you a 5-year cycle of peach and how it's how the different shades appeal differently to different consumer types, and how the evolution of the color actually takes longer than you might think, and how these sort of subtle shade differences influence which consumers are going to be interested in the color as well. So I hope you find that interesting. And then when we switch from that Morango apricot back to the springtime peach neutrals from the original starting points, the original emergence of this trend back in spring 20, you see how similar it all is. So it really is like a circle or a cycle, and that happens with so many things in trends. And it's really possible to create products that have longevity and last for multiple seasons in the market if you just use these early trends that give you the information early in the markets. So let's maybe now we can pause for a couple of your comments and questions here before we move further. And we've got actually I don't know, guys, if I don't know, Dale, you can comment, but we have a few questions here, so I can answer some questions, and then we can keep going for a bit for more questions.
Yeah, so, I've got some questions noted, so I can.
Yeah, and let me. Yeah, no, sounds good. And I'm gonna also, Dale, if that's okay with you, I'll answer. There's a couple in the chat, so I'll just answer some of them as well. and you can ask your questions too, and everybody else ask, go ahead and chat your questions, or you can also, at this point, you can raise your hand as well if you want to ask your question. Femke, you asked, and I don't know if you want to speak, Femke, or if I just read your question. Is it Dale, if somebody wants to speak, do they need to raise their hand?
Yes, you do. There's a raise your hand function on the toolbox at the bottom. If you click on that, then we'll be able to turn their audio feed on.
So anyone who wants to speak your question, yeah, so thanks, Femke says that she has no mic. Okay, so you said that, first let's start, there were a couple of comments that peach shades look nice for interiors, but perhaps not so much clothing on pale colored skins. And I think that was maybe before we came to all of these peach slides. So you maybe now we hopefully have seen some nice clothing examples as well, because even though and that absolutely depends on the shade of peach that's selected, and perhaps the Pantone peach fuzz is not as flattering as some of the other peaches we saw in this tour of peaches just now, and it's an important takeaway that the shade has to be the correct one, because when the shade is selected correctly, then it is flattering to skin tones and different skin tones, and suits different types of skins, and combines with other colors nicely, and creates this effect that's really nice to wear for a long period of time. Like here on the screen, we see like this shade is really nice, which is a little bit like the summer peach, or this one here is a bit like the peach dawn, and they are both nice shades of peaches, for example. Or here we have the pale, it's a little bit different, but a little bit like the Marengo apricot, that's really like sort of pale peach, and they all look nice. And we have a range of skin tones here showing on the screen as well. So and then feel free to put follow-up comments if you want to comment anything on my my answers. And then you also asked who actually decides the colors for the fashion industry. So is it Pantone, or who is it? So yeah, that's you could hold a whole session alone just to answer these questions. I just try to answer briefly. The short answer is that the consumer decides. There's so many facets in the industry think that colors are decided by some kind of authority, but ultimately, of course, it's the consumer who decides, because it's up to them to buy or not to buy the product. But companies can buy advice from different sources who give their recommendations for what the colors should be. And I would say that here at Trendstop, we really focus on what the consumers want, because there are color reports and forecasts out there that are not based on what consumers want, but are either based on sort of analyzing what's already in retail stores, or kind of like a creative opinion. But those are not as reliable ways to gauge what consumers will want in the future than the method that we use here at Trendstop. So I don't know if that's just one quick answer on a big topic. And then yeah, feel free to put other questions there. So and then there were some other let's see. I'm going to since I touched on the consumer, I'm gonna mention another thing to you with my slides, and then you can go ahead and ask any more questions that you have. So and of course the one challenge with colors as well is how to combine them nicely with other colors. So on Trendstop, we've got these nice capsule palettes. So here we can see the peach. This is the peach dawn with other colors forming a nice palette that's inspired by these skin tones of the planet. So it's like a really nice. Oops, sorry. So it's really nice, kind of inspired by the different colors and shades of the planet. And then, or we have you can create a different kind of mood. So here we have the summer peach as part of a palette on global optimism and looking at this kind of nice multicultural approach. So so you can find this on our platform as well. And then the thing that I wanted to mention to you is so we spoke about how colors go through these different consumer types and how it takes even multiple seasons until the color trend has been through these different consumers. So I just wanted to talk about the early adopters, because the green zone here is the early profit zone, and being able to offer the colors to the early adopters is can really help grow the profitability. Because and the reason why that is because just go forward here. So because unlike many might think, the early adopters and also the early mainstream consumers are part of the early adopters total consumer group, and altogether they are actually 47.5% of the population. So often people in the industry might think that the early adopters are just some kind of a small niche group that you don't really need to worry about, but they are not. They are everybody who wants kind of a little bit earlier and more interesting style or colors. And before the trend or the color becomes super like a really commercial and mainstream. So and these consumers are really 47.5% of all consumers. So so it's really important for the profitability and to be able to extend your sales to understand what these early adopters want and give it to them, because then it also allows you to test the colors and trends earlier, so that you can then do bigger more voluminous manufacturing runs to offer them next season for the next group of consumers and the more mainstream consumers. So I would love to hear if you have any comments or thoughts on this, and we can then wrap up the session. I mean, we've got lots of information, so we can keep talking, but also if this feels like a good amount for now, we can just finish with any last questions that you guys might have. Yeah, sorry, let me just refresh my chat. I think there's some new comments coming through, maybe. Does anyone want to speak, or do you have any comments? And I think Jay, I think maybe you might need to speak. I saw your message flash in, but I don't. It's not coming up for me.
I've just made a note of a few questions that were early on in the chat, so I can recap them if you like.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So there's a couple of interesting questions at the beginning. There's one from Angela, actually, from Zip. She's a baby company, and her customers are very focused on pink or blue, getting in the way from tough and tiring new colors can be a risk. So yeah, she's basically saying getting away from those sort of colors is a bit of a risk. So have you got any thoughts on that? How she can sort of like freshen it up a little bit?
Yes, thank you for asking, Angela. And this is actually a really good example of this kind of early adopters, late adopters. So I'm guessing from your focus on the pink and the blue that you're a little bit more in the kind of classic or more commercial market. So what is happening with the early adopters with baby colors, that a lot of kind of more early adopter oriented parents, they don't, and this is when I say early adopters, I really mean this 47.5% early adopters and early mainstream consumers. So the kind of let's say trendier parents out there, they really want to move away from kind of stereotyping their babies and kind of being so focused on the gender. So they actually enjoy selecting, and this is not just parents, but also relatives as well, anyone who buys baby clothing. So So though that kind of consumer mindset is more interested in buying colors like, for example, purple, which is the neutral in between pink and blue, or red and blue, or peach, and even yellow, or kind of colors that are gender neutral. And that is a trend that has been going on in the market for some time. So so as a consumer trend and as a more kind of earlier market trend, it definitely isn't risky. But what I would say is that it's of course really important to choose the right shade, like I was mentioning earlier, so, because that is risky, that if you choose the wrong shade and then it doesn't work with your target audience. And that's something that we specialize in helping with. If you would like to talk to us, we'd be happy to talk to you.
Great. There's another question came in earlier from Neris. She was talking about sort of Gen Z and the various different age groups, and she just wanted to know, are there any sort of nuances between different age groups, or do you think the colour thing would sort of like translate across the world? What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, this is also a great question. Thanks for asking, Neris. The general comments I can make on this is that it's that saying that it's not about the age, it's about the attitude. So just like I was speaking to you about the innovators or early adopters or late adopters, the same applies in age groups as well. So some people are more conservative and more kind of mainstream oriented, and other people are more kind of innovative and forward thinking. And you can have just like and of course the general rule of thumb is that young people are more kind of open-minded and maybe innovative, and older people are more conservative. But having said that, we all know that you can find a very conservative 25-year-old, and you can equally find a really progressive and kind of forward-thinking 75-year-old. So it is first and foremost about the attitude and the mindset of the person, and how much kind of newness they are interested in, and not just the age alone.
Okay, then Femke's made a comment here about peach. Obviously, peach seems to be a huge recurring theme in this session.
Yes.
She was just asking about shades look nice for interiors, but perhaps not as much for clothing, depending on people's paler complexions and stuff like that. What's your thoughts on that?
That's the one. Sorry, I did see that one, and I did speak to it.
Oh, did you address that one? Sorry.
I just and you audience say if you agree, but I was just saying that after we saw all of those nice slides with the different shades of peach being used on apparel and footwear and accessories, then I hope you saw that it really depends on the shade also, that you can find nice shades, and it can work with different skin tones as well. But put in your comments what you think, or if you don't agree.
And then Cara's just sent one through a question. What would you say the colour predictions would be within sort of healthcare sector? Is that something you can comment on, do you think?
And can I ask, and can you, Cara, can you clarify? I don't know if you can come to the microphone, but do you mean in kind of like a healthcare, like what people wear, like a protective clothing and things like that, or for other aspects of healthcare?
Yeah, Cara, if you can. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Right. So I can actually tell you about one of our very nice customers from the US, Clove Footwear. You can check them out if you would like, CLOVE, like the clover without R. So they are a company and a brand who started as a health worker shoes, or like comfort shoes for health professionals or hospital workers and people like that. But then they started they wanted to give nicer styles and a bit more trendier styles to their customers, and that's when they came to Trendstop to get some help with the colors and with the product ideas, and that was proven hugely popular. They've gained so much traction as a brand doing that, and so much so that they now are expanding their business to offer comfortable shoes, not just for healthcare, but just broadly, just comfortable footwear that anyone can wear. And this is sort of another general consumer trend that that people want to look good, and nobody wants to look bad or be badly dressed. And then the more early adopter mindset they have, then the more so they think like this, and therefore it's kind of like the same thing that has happened with the sport lifestyle industry, that back in the 80s and 90s people just wore sportswear to do sports and fitness activities, but then the sports lifestyle phenomenon sort of got gathered pace, and now everyone wears sportswear just for everyday streetwear. And it's the same sort of thing, that people just want to be comfortable, but they also want to look stylish, and no matter what they do, if they are working or at leisure, people just want to look good. And if you can have items that support your work, if you are a specialist in healthcare or other sectors, then people are happy if they can look good and look better there as well, if they don't have to look unfashionable just because they are at work. And if that is true, and I would say it is, then it means that those same kinds of trends can be applied in sort of specialist areas as well, and maybe more so the more commercial, the more kind of mainstream oriented trends. But because nobody wants to be kind of like you don't want to look like a fashion victim at work, but unless you work in fashion, but still the trends still apply, and we can help with again, same thing, we help a lot with these kinds of specialist cases.
He's also asked us, as have quite a few people asked actually, can you give us your top 5 color predictions? I think everyone wants it sort of packaged in an easily simple package. I don't know if you want to make a quick commentary on that for 2025, or I mean, obviously we spoke a lot about peach.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, so like you probably saw that, and I think that question was maybe posted earlier as well, that those peach shades that we looked at, they are from our spring 25 forecast, but and peach is of course just one of the colors. There are other colors in the palette as well, but I would like to just give an like a answer from that consumer mindset perspective, if that's okay, which is that before, in the sort of fast fashion era, like it was that past 20 years has been a period where it was all about just kind of throwing stuff against the wall and hoping that something will stick, and not really worrying if the consumers really want that item, and if they're going to wear it for many years as opposed to 3 months, because that was the era of throwaway fashion, and people would just buy something, throw it away, and buy the next one. But now consumers don't want to spend like that anymore, and they want to buy things that they can wear for multiple seasons or even years. Some brands are talking about offering products that can last 5 or 10 years, and you really need to know about the long-term trends at that point. So it's not about knowing 5 colors and then thinking about this sort of plaster application. So it's not that, okay, the trend is going to be red, do whatever red you want. It's about, like, just like we covered in this session, that if the trend is peach, then you also need to consider what specific shade of peach is right for your product and your customer. So that is the big trend going forward, like really understanding the details of the trend as well, because if it's the wrong shade of peach, then it still might not work, even though peach in general is trending. So that's kind of like the big thing to consider, and I understand that it's kind of like a mindset shift in the industry as well. So but we are here to educate you about that. So if anyone's interested, you can go on our website and you can sign up. You can book a discovery session to learn more about our services. But if you sign up to one of our newsletters that we've got available there on the site, we are going to be doing some trend training. You can actually go to the color page and sign up to our color newsletter if you are interested in color. And we are doing some free training as well, so you'll be receiving those if you sign yourself up, and then you can learn more about this. Everything
and we have indeed, we've got another webinar with you beginning next month. I think, I can't remember the date.
Yes,
now, but,
it's
on consumer trends more broadly, haven't we?
Yes, exactly. It's
24th of January. Sorry, big pardon.
Exactly. I just went to the calendar as well. Yes, that's it. We have another session with the delightful fashion network audience coming up in 2 weeks. So you can join us for that, and there we talk more about the consumer targeting and how the consumer mindsets are changing in a broader sense.
I've got a couple of questions, and then we've got a few more minutes left for more audience questions. So guys, if you've got any more questions, now's your chance to get them in. But we spoke just before we went live a little bit about the impact that maybe AI might be having on sort of like trend forecasts, and do you want to sort of like put your thoughts down a little bit about that, how that might affect things?
So AI is, of course, everyone talks about AI, but what kind of our stance is on that at the end of the day, AI is just a tool, just like a smartphone is a tool, or the personal consumer computer, sorry, it's a tool, and so yes, it helps us be more effective and do things quickly, but it's not gonna sort of suddenly give the insights to what's new innovation, or how to go smarter about things. So it's kind of like, if the company hasn't got the right plan and the strategy, the AI is not going to help correct it. So and I think that in a way it's a shame that AI is called AI as an artificial intelligence, because how AI is now, like let's say ChatGPT, I think it would have been more accurate to call it something like a super smart data consolidator or something, because that's all it does. It just gathers everything there is on the internet and then does it extremely quickly, which is super helpful, and then just presents it in a concise format. So, but it's not, anywhere, that's nothing to do with human intelligence. It's not even close. It's not even touching what like a human thinking and expertise can do. So AI is not going to be able to forecast the future colors, because for many reasons, again, a topic for another whole presentation. But
yeah. We've done an AI masterclass as well.
But for example, color is very emotional, and AI is a robot. It can't talk anything about you. It can't predict anything about human emotions or how humans might behave emotionally. And that's, for example, one reason why AI can't predict color in the future successfully.
I don't know if your colleague Jaana can put a link, but someone's asking about a link with the Trendstop class that you just mentioned. I don't know if you want to pop that in.
Yeah. So I didn't. Let's see if we. You can we email? Can we email?
Yeah, we can include that in the email. Yeah, we can include that in the email.
It's but as a quick answer, if you just go to trendstop.com, and then in the top menu you see color, and then there's a sign up to newsletter. If you scroll to the bottom of that page, you'll get to our color newsletter.
Okay. Another question we were just while I was made a note while you're listening to earlier. I mean, how important is Pantone? Do they drive the color change, or do they react to the color change? How important is it for our designers to be plugged into that?
This could be now like a test audience question. That have you?
Yeah, it should be.
What did you take away from this presentation? But yeah, as we hopefully saw earlier, is that they sort of react to what's already in the market. They don't sort of. And it's, they do good work, and of course they give everyone amazing Pantone references, but they don't analyze the consumers or the kind of what is happening in the markets in that way. So they are not able to do that forecast so early as we do. But then Trendstop is unique. I would say that no one is able to do them as early as we do. So it's a kind of a snapshot of what's happening in the markets today, and it's nice for that.
Cool. And then one final question from me. I can see we're getting a few comments coming in, but yeah, any feedback, guys, as well? Obviously, we've only got a minute left. So if you've got any thoughts on this webinar, what you've taken away, it'd be good to pop in the the chat box, or we'll send an email around to everybody that's registered for this live session. If you've got any feedback, you can email us and let us know what sort of topics you'd like to hear from in future, or any feedback from this particular session. But my last question really to you, Jaana, is obviously we spoke a little bit about the shift towards, well, you just briefly spoke about the shift towards what we were loosely calling slow fashion. But we did talk about, obviously, that ties in the whole sustainability aspect. Are you seeing that having an effect on colour as well, in terms of, obviously people are going to have colours that are going to carry over? Do you want to talk?
Yeah, and I actually, can I answer? I'll answer your questions there, but there was a question from, it's a so Chom, the full name doesn't show, but you were asking that the peach shades are really beautiful, but are these able to cater to all genders in general, and also the different professions? I think we spoke a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But I'll just answer that briefly. That for sure the peach shades are a little bit more on the feminine side, and you can make them, like we saw the peach bloom, which was a bit more kind of neutral, like a beige peach. But having said that, the younger consumers, they are much more into the gender fluid and all the kind of just like being much more open to being more free about the gender norms. So they are definitely like young trendy guys would very happily to wear peach and other brighter colors. And if it's a little bit toned down, then you even in the kind of fashionable men's stores like Massimo Dutti and so on, you can quite easily see in the summer, peach colored polo shirts and things like that. So and more conservative men might wear them in in socks or pies or small doses. So it has applications across genders as well.
Fantastic. Our time's out, actually, unfortunately. So just remind everybody that we'll be back online on the 24th of January, 2 p.m. UK time. And we'll be talking with Jaana again, and we'll be talking about wider consumer trends. And then if you want to keep tuned to the Fashion Network website, which is thefashionnetwork.co.uk, or follow us on LinkedIn, then you'll see we've got some in-person events taking place both in the UK, both in the cities of Manchester and London. Jaana has been a panelist at previous events, and no doubt might be another one, and at the very least will be there as a delegate, so you'll have a chance to meet her face to face, as myself and the rest of the TFN team. So for now, Jaana, I just want to say thank you very much for your time and your insight, and for everyone listening, thank you for listening in. And there'll be an email coming round to you all probably late today, early tomorrow, with details. So any feedback, please share with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Really nice to meet you all, and thanks for all the nice feedbacks as well, that you enjoyed the session. That's really nice to hear.
Thank you. See
Bye.
you later.